Protecting your joy by staying silent is a powerful practice that allows you to preserve the essence of your happiness. When we achieve something or experience moments of personal triumph, the natural inclination is to share that joy with others to seek validation, approval, and recognition. But here's the truth: not everyone around you will understand, appreciate, or even support your happiness in the way you expect. The world is filled with diverse opinions, perspectives, and emotions, many of which can clash with your personal experience of joy. Silence acts as a shield, guarding your happiness from the noise and interference of the outside world. When you keep your success to yourself, you protect it from potential negativity, envy, or even subtle doubts that others may project onto you. By holding on to your joy rather than broadcasting it, you preserve its purity. You're able to feel it fully without the risk of it being diminished by someone else's reaction or response. This doesn't mean you hide your happiness. It means you honor it by allowing yourself to savor it in your own time without needing anyone else to validate it. Furthermore, staying silent during moments of happiness fosters a deep internal connection to your success. You learn to derive joy from within rather than seeking it externally. You begin to realize that your happiness is not dependent on others' approval, likes, or praise. It's something personal, something that belongs entirely to you. By staying silent, you cultivate a sense of inner strength and contentment that can't be easily shaken by the opinions or judgments of others. When you protect your joy by keeping it quiet, you also avoid the pitfall of letting others' emotions influence your state of mind. People may react in unexpected ways. Some may feel jealous, others may offer unwanted advice, and some may even try to downplay your success. By not sharing your happiness prematurely, you prevent these outside reactions from impacting how you feel. Your happiness remains intact, untouched by external forces, allowing you to enjoy it for what it truly is: an accomplishment, a moment of peace, or a feeling of fulfillment. In silence, your joy becomes more personal, more meaningful. You hold it close, not because you're hiding it, but because you're nurturing it. This practice helps you internalize your success, making it a part of who you are rather than something you display for the world to see. Over time, this strengthens your sense of self-worth and confidence, teaching you that true happiness doesn't need to be shared to be real. It's enough that you feel it, embrace it, and let it uplift you from within. Conserving your energy for continued growth is one of the most essential strategies for long-term success. In a world where we're constantly encouraged to share every accomplishment, every step of progress, it's easy to fall into the trap of seeking immediate gratification or validation. But the reality is, energy, whether mental, emotional, or physical, is finite. Every time we broadcast our success, we expend energy that could have been channeled into the next stage of our growth. When you share your achievements prematurely or too frequently, you release the very energy that fuels your momentum. It feels great in the moment. Those dopamine hits from likes, comments, and congratulations can be addictive, but they're short-lived. What happens after the initial praise fades? Often the excitement you once felt starts to wane, and the drive that initially propelled you forward becomes diluted. That's because you've already received a form of validation, a sense of completion, and it can reduce your motivation to keep pushing. By keeping quiet, by choosing to conserve your energy, you maintain that fire within yourself. Energy is momentum's best friend. It's what keeps you moving forward, especially when the road gets tough or when challenges arise. By conserving your energy, you give yourself the ability to focus on the next step, rather than getting caught up in celebrating the current one. You maintain a steady pace, and over time, that pace builds momentum, making it harder to stop or slow down. Each win, no matter how small, adds to your internal drive rather than being released for the world to consume. Conserving your energy also means staying disciplined. It's about recognizing that not every achievement needs to be shared, especially not right away. Instead, you can use that energy to reflect, strategize, and plan your next move. When you keep your success to yourself, you're not expending energy on managing others' reactions, comments, or feedback. You're able to stay focused, to hone in on what matters most: your growth, your goals, and your progress. This creates a sense of purpose that isn't dependent on external validation, allowing you to grow in a way that's both sustainable and deeply fulfilling. The beauty of conserving your energy is that it creates a feedback loop of progress. The more energy you keep for yourself, the more you have to invest in your future efforts. That energy compounds over time, helping you tackle bigger challenges, set higher goals, and push further than you ever thought possible. Growth isn't just about the big leaps, it's about the accumulation of small, consistent actions that over time lead to massive results. By preserving your energy, you ensure that you're able to keep going, to keep building, and to keep evolving, no matter what obstacles come your way. Another key aspect of conserving energy is protecting yourself from unnecessary distractions. When you share your progress too early, you open yourself up to external influences, opinions, advice, and sometimes even criticism that can derail your focus. Every comment, whether positive or negative, demands mental and emotional energy to process. By staying silent, you create a protective barrier around your energy, ensuring that it's directed toward your growth rather than scattered in response to outside noise. Conserving your energy doesn't mean you don't celebrate your wins. It means you choose when and how to do so. It means you're intentional about where you direct your energy, understanding that each ounce of effort you save can be reinvested into your future progress. In this way, you become more strategic, more efficient, and ultimately more successful. You're no longer driven by the need for approval or applause. Instead, you're driven by the desire to continuously improve and reach your full potential. In the long run, conserving your energy for continued growth ensures that your journey is sustainable. It prevents burnout, keeps you focused, and allows you to build the resilience necessary to tackle bigger challenges. Growth is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And in order to keep going, in order to truly achieve greatness, you must be mindful of where your energy goes. The more you conserve, the more power you'll have to fuel your next step and the step after that, until your progress becomes unstoppable. Controlling the narrative of your success is one of the most empowering actions you can take on your journey toward personal and professional growth. In a world where everyone has an opinion and where external validation often feels like the ultimate measure of worth, it can be tempting to let others define your success for you. But when you relinquish control of your narrative, you allow others' perceptions, expectations, and judgments to shape your story. Instead, you must be intentional about how you present your success, choosing to define it on your own terms and in a way that aligns with your true values and goals. By controlling the narrative, you maintain ownership over your journey. Your success, no matter how big or small, is deeply personal. It's a reflection of your hard work, sacrifices, and resilience. When you allow others to dictate what your success should look like or how it should be perceived, you risk diminishing the significance of your own efforts. Success is not a one-size-fits-all concept. It means different things to different people, and when you're in control of your narrative, you get to decide what success looks like for you. When you control the narrative of your success, you protect it from being overshadowed by external opinions or unnecessary noise. The truth is, not everyone will understand your journey, and not everyone will appreciate the steps you've taken to get where you are. Some people might try to downplay your accomplishments, project their insecurities onto your story, or even offer unsolicited advice about what they think you should do next. But by owning your narrative, you're able to filter out this noise and stay focused on what truly matters, your own vision and purpose. You become the author of your story, ensuring that the message you send to the world aligns with your truth. Controlling your narrative also requires you to be selective about what you share and with whom. Not every aspect of your journey needs to be publicized. In fact, some of the most transformative moments of growth happen in silence, away from the spotlight. By choosing when and how to share your success, you create boundaries that protect your energy and your progress. You're not broadcasting every win for the sake of validation. Instead, you're sharing your success when it feels right, on your terms, and in a way that honors the work you've put in. This selective sharing reinforces your control over the story of your success. Another benefit of controlling your narrative is that it allows you to stay grounded in your own values. Success can sometimes come with pressures to conform to societal standards or the expectations of others. When you're not in control of your narrative, you might find yourself chasing goals that aren't truly yours or pursuing validation that doesn't align with your inner sense of fulfillment. But when you consciously shape your story, you're able to stay true to what matters most to you. You define success based on your own values, not the fleeting opinions of others. This creates a foundation of authenticity and integrity that fuels your long-term growth. Furthermore, controlling the narrative of your success gives you the power to reshape and rewrite your story as you evolve. Success is not static, it changes and adapts as you grow and learn. When you're in control, you have the flexibility to redefine what success means to you at different stages of your journey. Maybe success once meant achieving a specific career milestone, but now it's about work-life balance or personal development. When you own your narrative, you're not locked into anyone else's expectations. You're free to pivot and adapt as your priorities shift. It's also important to recognize that controlling your narrative doesn't mean ignoring feedback or constructive criticism. Instead, it means being intentional about which voices you listen to and how you incorporate them into your story. There's value in receiving input from trusted mentors, peers, and loved ones, but ultimately the final say on how you define and present your success should always rest with you. When you're in control, you take in valuable insights without letting them dictate the course of your journey. You remain the central figure in your story with the power to determine its direction. Owning the narrative of your success also means embracing both the highs and the lows of your journey. Success is rarely a straight line. It's filled with challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But when you control your narrative, you can frame these obstacles as essential parts of your growth. You can tell the story of your resilience, your perseverance, and your ability to learn from adversity. In doing so, you shift the focus from the outcome to the process, highlighting the depth and richness of your journey rather than just the end result. Finally, when you control the narrative of your success, you inspire others not by what you've achieved, but by how you've achieved it. You show them that success is not about meeting external expectations, but about living in alignment with your own purpose and values. Your story becomes a source of empowerment, not because it fits a conventional mold of success, but because it's authentically yours. It reflects your unique path, your unique challenges, and your unique victories, and that's what makes it powerful. Silence creates an aura of intrigue and exudes a sense of confidence that words simply cannot convey. In a world where everyone is vying for attention, constantly talking about their goals, their achievements, or their struggles, silence can be your most powerful tool. It sets you apart because it's unexpected, it's mysterious, and it leaves people wondering what's going on in your mind. When you remain silent in moments where others are speaking, you convey strength, control, and purpose without ever having to say a word. People often underestimate the power of silence. They think that being vocal, sharing their thoughts, or constantly being part of the conversation is the way to gain influence and respect. But silence is a tool that, when wielded correctly, can be far more influential than speaking. It's in the pauses, in the restraint, that people begin to pay attention. When you don't fill every moment with noise, your silence leaves space for curiosity. It makes others wonder what you're thinking, what you know that they don't, or what your next move might be. And that intrigue gives you power because curiosity pulls people toward you. They want to understand you, to figure out the depth behind the silence. Silence also demonstrates a deep sense of confidence. It takes a level of self-assurance to remain quiet when everyone around you feels the need to speak. When you're silent, you're not desperate for validation. You're not seeking approval from others. You're comfortable with who you are and what you know. That kind of confidence is magnetic. It shows that you don't need to prove yourself with words because your presence, your actions, and your demeanor speak louder than anything you could say. Silence reflects an inner strength, a quiet confidence that draws people in and leaves a lasting impression. In professional settings, silence can be an incredible asset. When you're in meetings, negotiations, or even casual conversations, choosing silence over constant chatter can shift the dynamics in your favor. While others may rush to fill the space with their ideas, opinions, or solutions, you can sit back, observe, and listen. This not only allows you to gather more information, but it also gives you the upper hand. When you speak less, people tend to value your words more. They lean in when you finally decide to contribute because they know that when you speak, it's with purpose. You haven't wasted your words on trivial matters. Your silence has built anticipation, and now your words carry more weight. Silence also fosters patience and composure. In high-pressure situations, people tend to get flustered, and their nerves lead them to speak impulsively or reveal too much. But when you master the art of silence, you give yourself the space to remain calm, collected, and thoughtful. You don't feel the need to react immediately because silence buys you time. Time to think, to strategize, to carefully consider your next move. This patience not only allows you to make better decisions, but also demonstrates to others that you are in control of your emotions, your thoughts, and your actions. You're not swayed by the chaos around you. Your silence is proof of your unshakable composure. Additionally, silence can be a powerful way to assert boundaries. In conversations, especially heated or uncomfortable ones, silence can signal that you are not willing to engage in negativity or allow your energy to be drained by unproductive dialogue. By choosing to stay silent rather than reacting to provocation or criticism, you send a message that you are above the fray, that you refuse to be pulled into drama or petty arguments. Your silence communicates that you are focused on bigger things, on your goals, and on your purpose. It shows that you have the discipline to control not only your words, but your reactions. There's also a level of discipline in silence that commands respect. It's easy to talk, to fill the air with words, to react in the moment. But to stay quiet, to hold your tongue, takes self-control. It shows that you are deliberate in your actions, that you don't waste energy on unnecessary exchanges. This kind of discipline is rare and admired. People notice when you choose not to speak, especially when they know you have something valuable to say. They respect the fact that you don't give away your thoughts carelessly, that you understand the value of holding back. In doing so, you not only conserve your energy, but also build a reputation for being thoughtful, strategic, and wise. Moreover, silence builds anticipation. When you remain quiet about your plans, your success, or even your challenges, people begin to wonder what's happening behind the scenes. They become curious about what you're working on, where your focus lies, and what you might be planning next. That anticipation creates intrigue, and intrigue draws attention. People are naturally drawn to mystery, and your silence makes you a mystery they want to solve. This anticipation can work to your advantage, whether in business, personal relationships, or any area of life where you want to maintain an element of surprise. Even in personal relationships, silence can be a powerful tool. When you don't always feel the need to explain yourself, justify your actions, or seek approval from others, you show that you are secure in your decisions. You don't need validation because you are confident in your own path. That kind of inner confidence is attractive and magnetic. It creates a sense of mystery that pulls people toward you, not because you are hiding anything, but because they can sense the depth of your conviction. Your silence says, I know what I'm doing, and that assurance inspires trust and respect. In essence, silence is not just the absence of noise, it is a powerful, intentional choice. It is a tool that, when used effectively, can create an air of confidence, intrigue, and strength that words alone cannot achieve. It allows you to maintain control of your narrative, conserve your energy, and remain focused on your goals without getting distracted by the need for external validation. Avoiding negative energy and unwanted opinions is essential to protecting your peace and maintaining focus on your goals. In every step of your journey, whether you're striving for personal growth or working towards professional success, there will always be voices around you, some well-meaning, others not offering opinions on how you should live, what you should do, and where you should go. These opinions, often unsolicited, can create unnecessary noise in your life, diluting your focus and pulling you off track. Negative energy in particular can weigh you down, leaving you feeling discouraged or questioning your path. That's why learning to avoid these external influences is crucial to your long-term success and happiness. The reality is that not every opinion is valuable, and not every piece of advice comes from a place of understanding or care. Some people project their own insecurities, fears, and doubts onto you. They may question your dreams or criticize your methods, not because there's something wrong with your approach, but because your ambition makes them uncomfortable with their own lack of action. They may see your desire for growth as a reflection of their own stagnation, and instead of supporting you, they try to pull you back down to their level. If you're not careful, these opinions can seep into your consciousness, making you second-guess yourself. That's why it's important to stay vigilant and filter out the voices that don't serve you. Negative energy is another silent thief of progress. It can come from various sources, toxic relationships, draining environments, or even your own thoughts when you're not careful about what you allow into your mind. The more you surround yourself with negativity, the more it influences your behavior, your decisions, and your outlook on life. It clouds your judgment and saps your motivation. Have you ever noticed that after spending time with certain people, you feel exhausted, demotivated, or even angry for no apparent reason? That's because their negative energy has attached itself to you. And if you're not aware of this, it can affect how you move forward. Guarding yourself against negative energy requires conscious effort. It means setting boundaries, not just with people, but with situations, environments, and even the media you consume. You have to be selective about where you invest your time and energy. This doesn't mean cutting people off or living in a bubble. It means being aware of how certain interactions or environments make you feel and taking action to protect your emotional and mental well-being. For example, if you're around someone who constantly complains, criticizes, or brings drama into your life, you have to recognize the impact it has on your mindset and create distance where needed. It's about prioritizing your own peace over the comfort of others. Unwanted opinions are often another source of negativity disguised as advice or concern. People love to offer their 2 cents on your life choices, even when they have no understanding of your vision or your goals. They may tell you what's realistic or what's possible based on their own limited experiences, but here's the thing: other people's limitations do not define your potential. Just because someone else couldn't achieve something doesn't mean you can't. Too often, people let these opinions weigh them down, convincing themselves that their dreams are too big, too risky, or too far out of reach. If you let these voices in, they can rob you of your confidence and derail your momentum. The key to avoiding unwanted opinions is to recognize that not all feedback is created equal. There's a difference between constructive criticism, which is valuable and can help you grow, and unhelpful, uninformed opinions that only serve to limit your thinking. Constructive feedback comes from people who understand your goals and have experience or insight that can help you reach them. These are the voices you want to listen to because they come from a place of support and wisdom. On the other hand, unsolicited opinions often come from people who have no real stake in your success and no understanding of your journey. These are the voices you need to block out. It's about being discerning and knowing which advice to take and which to ignore. Part of avoiding negative energy and unwanted opinions is also about strengthening your own internal belief system. When you're deeply rooted in your vision and your purpose, external noise doesn't affect you as much. You become more resilient to negativity because your inner voice, your self-belief, drowns out the doubts of others. But this inner confidence doesn't just happen overnight. It's something you have to cultivate. It comes from knowing who you are, what you want, and trusting yourself to make the right decisions. When you develop this kind of self-assurance, you become impervious to the naysayers because their opinions don't hold weight in the face of your conviction. It's also important to remember that energy is contagious. The people you surround yourself with, the environments you put yourself in, all contribute to the energy you absorb. If you're constantly around negative people or in toxic situations, that energy will seep into your own life. But the opposite is also true. When you surround yourself with positive, uplifting individuals, that energy lifts you up and helps you maintain a high vibration. You start to see opportunities instead of obstacles. You begin to attract success rather than repel it. That's why it's essential to choose wisely the people you allow into your inner circle. Surround yourself with those who inspire you, challenge you in a healthy way, and support your vision. Another aspect of avoiding negative energy and unwanted opinions is mastering the art of selective vulnerability. This means being intentional about who you share your dreams, plans, and progress with. Not everyone deserves to have access to your journey. Some people will only bring negativity and doubt, which can throw you off course. Be mindful of who you confide in. Share your vision with those who have earned the right to hear it, those who genuinely support your growth and want to see you succeed. By being selective, you protect yourself from unnecessary negativity and create a space where you can flourish without interference. You also have to guard your own thoughts. Sometimes the most damaging negative energy comes from within. It's that little voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough, that you're going to fail, or that you're not worthy of success. These limiting beliefs can be more harmful than any external opinion because they come from a place of doubt within you. If you don't actively work to silence that voice and replace it with positive, empowering thoughts, it can hold you back just as much as any outside influence. That's why developing a strong mindset is crucial. It's about learning to recognize those negative thought patterns and replacing them with affirmations that uplift and motivate you. Avoiding negative energy also means managing your reactions to the negativity around you. You can't always control what other people say or do, but you can control how you respond. When someone brings negativity into your space, whether it's through criticism, gossip, or complaining, you have the power to decide whether you engage with it or let it pass. Choosing not to react to negative energy is a form of self-mastery. It shows that you are in control of your emotions and that you won't allow external forces to dictate how you feel or how you move through life. In the end, avoiding negative energy and unwanted opinions is about creating boundaries that protect your peace and your progress. It's about being selective with your energy, your focus, and your time. Reflecting and planning your next move in silence is one of the most powerful strategies you can adopt when navigating through life's challenges, decisions, and aspirations. Silence is not just about refraining from talking, it's about creating the mental and emotional space to hear your inner voice, to evaluate your journey, and to strategically plan your next step without the noise and distractions of the outside world. In a world where everyone seems to be in a rush to share their plans, successes, and even failures, taking time to reflect in solitude allows you to recalibrate, realign, and refocus on what truly matters. When you reflect in silence, you give yourself the opportunity to look back at where you've been. Reflection isn't just a passive exercise, it's about taking an honest inventory of your past actions, decisions, and results. What worked? What didn't? What lessons have you learned along the way? These are the questions that can only be answered when you step away from the chaos and give yourself the time and space to truly think. Silence allows you to confront your mistakes without the fear of judgment, to celebrate your victories without needing external validation, and to acknowledge the growth you've experienced, no matter how small. This period of reflection is also a time to assess whether you're still on the right path. Often we get so caught up in the hustle of life that we don't stop to ask ourselves if the direction we're headed in is still aligned with our values, our purpose, or our vision. It's easy to be driven by external pressures, society's expectations, the opinions of others, or even the desire to keep up with the pace of the world around us. But in silence, you can strip away those external influences and reconnect with your own internal compass. Are the goals you're chasing still meaningful to you? Are the choices you're making bringing you closer to the life you truly want? Silence allows you to explore these questions deeply and without distraction. Once you've reflected on your past, silence becomes the perfect environment to start planning your next move. There's immense value in keeping your plans to yourself, at least in the beginning stages. When you broadcast your intentions prematurely, you open yourself up to a flood of opinions, doubts, and potentially negative energy that can cloud your judgment. By keeping your plans in silence, you protect them while they're still in their infancy. You give yourself the space to work through the details, refine your approach, and build your confidence before exposing your ideas to the world. This is not about secrecy for the sake of secrecy. It's about allowing your vision to grow in a protected environment where it can't be easily swayed or influenced by outside forces. Silence also fosters clarity. When your mind is free from the chatter of social media, the opinions of friends, or the constant noise of everyday life, you can think more clearly and creatively. You begin to see solutions to problems that once seemed insurmountable. You can connect the dots between seemingly unrelated ideas. You have the mental bandwidth to explore new strategies, evaluate risks, and consider alternatives. Silence sharpens your focus, allowing you to zero in on what truly matters and eliminate distractions that don't serve your purpose. Moreover, reflecting and planning in silence helps you develop patience. In today's fast-paced world, there's an overwhelming pressure to act quickly, to show results immediately, to be constantly productive. But real success, sustainable success, often requires patience, careful planning, and a willingness to play the long game. Silence teaches you to be comfortable with waiting, to trust that your hard work will pay off in time, and to resist the urge to rush into action just for the sake of doing something. When you plan in silence, you become more strategic, more thoughtful, and more deliberate in your actions. You're not just reacting to circumstances, you're creating a roadmap for your future. This reflective silence also strengthens your resilience. By taking time to plan your next move in private, you're better prepared for the challenges and obstacles that will inevitably arise. You've thought through your contingencies, considered potential setbacks, and prepared yourself mentally for the road ahead. When difficulties come and you're not blindsided or caught off guard. You've already visualized the potential challenges and have strategies in place to overcome them. This kind of mental preparedness can only come from deep reflection and intentional planning, and it gives you a distinct advantage over those who act impulsively or without forethought. Silence in this context also shields you from unnecessary pressure. When you keep your plans to yourself, you eliminate the need to meet external deadlines or expectations. You're not performing for an audience, constantly seeking approval or validation. You're working on your own timeline, at your own pace, and according to your own standards. This freedom from external pressure allows you to make decisions that are best for you, rather than decisions that are best for you, rather than decisions that are influenced by the need to keep up appearances or meet the expectations of others. In silence, you can focus on doing what's right for your growth, not what looks impressive to the outside world. Furthermore, silence fosters self-reliance. When you keep your plans to yourself, you learn to trust your own instincts and judgment. You're not constantly seeking input from others, which can sometimes lead to second-guessing or self-doubt. Instead, you develop confidence in your ability to navigate your own path, to make decisions based on your own knowledge, experience, and intuition. This self-reliance is crucial for long-term success, as it empowers you to take ownership of your journey and to remain steadfast in the face of criticism or doubt from others. When you reflect and plan in silence, you build a stronger sense of personal responsibility and accountability for your actions and outcomes. In silence, you also cultivate a sense of mystery and intrigue. When people don't know your next move, they can't predict or undermine your plans. There's power in being unpredictable, in keeping others guessing about your next step. This element of surprise can work to your advantage, especially in competitive environments. While others are busy broadcasting their every move, you're quietly working behind the scenes, making progress without the scrutiny of public opinion. When you finally reveal your success, it comes as a complete surprise, and by then it's too late for anyone to interfere or derail your efforts. Finally, planning in silence allows you to focus on the journey rather than the destination. Too often, people become fixated on the end result, the big achievement, the public recognition, the final goal. But the real growth happens during the process. It's in the quiet moments of planning, reflecting, and strategizing that you develop the skills, mindset, and resilience needed to achieve your goals. When you plan in silence, you become more attuned to the small, incremental steps that lead to success. You start to appreciate the value of the process itself, knowing that each thoughtful action brings you closer to your desired outcome. Silence is a powerful tool in protecting your happiness, fueling your growth, and securing your success. By choosing to reflect, plan, and act in quiet, you conserve your energy, guard your dreams from external negativity, and create the mental space needed for clear strategic thinking. Silence sharpens your focus, cultivates resilience, and allows your confidence to grow as you rely on your own instincts. It shields you from unnecessary pressure, protects your emotional energy, and fosters a sense of mystery that gives you an edge in both personal and professional endeavors. In a world full of noise, silence becomes a sanctuary where you can truly grow, strategize, and make your next move with clarity and purpose.